Hello, this time for review I've got a fresh, recently released model by KZ Audio, and if you reading the news, you will probably guess its name. It's AS06, and by this name it's easy to distinguish that this is balanced armature multi-driver in-ear monitors, and this number will give us an idea that they're using 6 balanced armatures, but this time they've added armatures on both sides, so 3 balanced armatures per ear. This model costs about $42 at least now. Of course there will be sales and discounts, but current price is $42, and let's have a closer look. Box is traditional for KZ. They are switching from that small matchbox to the opening like a book box. There are some additional information, so as you can see there is microphone and no microphone version, and also they exist in black and green versions. There is no technical specifications printed on the box, but the most interesting of course is impedance. It's 15 ohms and sensitivity is 105 decibels, so pretty normal numbers. Frequency responses from 20 Hz up to 40 kHz, but it's traditional frequency responses. For the Chinese models they don't mention other. Inside there is metal plate, I don't know why they are putting it, but actually, and in-ear monitors themselves. So let's pop them out and put aside, and of course we'll have small manual, warranty card, and here we'll have cable and 2 pair of spare tips. I think KZ should start adding more tips to the accessory set. Speaking about build quality, it's traditional model that reminds ZS10, AS10 and few other KZ models. They are fitting into ears pretty nicely, at least to my ears. If you have smaller ears you can probably have some problems, but there is no sharp edges, so fit is pretty good, at least for me. Now they've made these face plates of metal. They're looking pretty good, but actually I liked older style with crossover PCB a bit more. Interesting combination of black and semi-transparent in the design. Unfortunately this time we can't see internals of this in-ear monitors, but I think there will be all 3 promised balanced armatures. Spouts are pretty long, they have proper angle, so they fit into ears nicely, providing about average sound isolation. If I remember right, KZ stated that sound isolation will be 26 decibels. Pretty good figures for passive sound isolation. They've got small lips to hold the tips, but actually I'd prefer them to be bigger. Let me put this tip back. Once again they've used bit recessed sockets, and here is traditional KZ cable. We've seen such cable many times before. Actually this one is for left ear, here it is, and this one is for right ear. So connectors are pretty tough, so they probably will be durable. And here is cable. Ear hooks, traditional without memory wire, but holding cable in place nicely. And traditional KZ cable, not something superb, but pretty nice. Microphone with 1 button remote control. Quality of microphone is average, but for this price range it's acceptable. Cable is soft, it's not getting hard when it's cold, almost no microphonics because of these ear hooks. And here it goes way down to the traditional angle jack. So build quality is nice, design is traditional for KZ, and wearing comfort is also pretty good, at least for me. And of course about the sound, let's have some player on the table. So let it be iPasso DX200 titanium. So, and once again, actually KZ created their signature V-shaped representation with accented low frequencies and bit accented treble. But for now they avoid two big problems. They really managed to create interesting and pretty good accented low frequencies without being too much or too bleeding onto mids, and they've managed to create nice accent on treble without being too harsh, at least to my taste. But let's move from the beginning. Actually, when I've unpacked them and when I read some information about their drivers, so 3 drivers, one balanced armature for low frequencies, one for mids, and one is for mids and treble, I didn't expect really deep bass, and I was wrong, because in this model they really created nice bass layer. Actually, it's a bit more than average amount of low frequencies, so I can call them bass heavy, not super bass heavy, but more on heavier side. And bass here has a pretty normal resolution, not superb, but pretty good. At the end it's still balanced armatures, and it has surprisingly good depths. You know, even some more expensive balanced armatures didn't have such depths. Of course, it's not the super resolving, but it's nice in terms of texturing, and it gives a pleasant warm hint to the overall representation of this model. I've got unusual example. Here it is. It's Goldfinger main theme by Shirley Bassey. Probably, sorry if I pronounced its name incorrectly. I really like this compilation of all James Bond title tracks, and the Goldfinger title track has nice, really big drum with beats a bit shifted to the right ear, and many models actually failing represent this drum, but AS06 have really good punch. They are not too fast to make it dry, and they have good weight, and you definitely will hear all these powerful beats. So I think it's a good model for those who like accented low frequencies. Mids are a bit recessed compared to treble and low frequencies. Maybe they are not recessed, they are simply not accented, but it's a matter of perspective. Resolution of mids are average. They are not bad, but actually they are not as good as traditional balanced armature models, so it's normal. Let's call it normal. They missing a bit of sparkle on the upper mids, but besides that they are pretty good and they are pretty emotional, and what I really like about them, they have pretty nice and pretty solid imaginary stage. It's wider than average and about average in depth, but with good layering, so it's pretty good staging for an inexpensive model. And as an example of mid frequencies, what actually I've got in my playlist, let's move back. Yep, Hiromi Uehara's Temptation. Of course, it's not the perfect track for the affordable in-ear monitors, because it's really impressive piano work here, and they definitely need much more expensive in-ear monitors, but AS06 still managed to behave well with this track. Of course, you know, it's not they're not super realistic like much more expensive models. They are not super resolving, but anyway, that's not something we need from the affordable models. They should be fun, and they definitely are fun. And treble, traditionally for KZ, is accented, so if you are treble sensitive, probably it's not a model for you, but to my ears they don't have too much treble. It's just adding a bit of airness. Of course, treble is simplified and lacking a bit of extension, but anyway, we are speaking about inexpensive models, so treble has normal resolution and normal realism, just slight accent, and that's it. Of course, if you need more rich layered treble, you should pay close attention to models from the $200 and more range. But here I like treble. It gives it does its job balancing low frequencies, so we've got typical nice fun V-shaped signature. And as an example for treble, go away. So I have prepared, well, pretty familiar for everyone, track that is pretty familiar for everyone. It's YYZ by Rush, with all these percussions at the beginning, with great drum work. It sounds a tiny bit too harsh, but for my taste at least acceptable, and with normal resolution you can definitely separate all these different brass, all that kinds of different brass on the drum set, and great soundstage here really gives you impression of realism and gives you impression of realism, period. So to summarize everything, it's a V-shaped model with warm but still pretty fast and well controlled bass, and with accented treble, but with pretty emotional, nice and resolving mid. They are, at least to my taste, perfect for electronic music, for pop music. They are really nice for jazz, not all kinds of jazz, but for many styles and genres. They are great with rock and so on. So for those genres where you need emotions and more fun representation over the technical things like resolution and so on. I won't go deep into comparisons, you know. There are a lot of models in this price range. For example, TRN V80, they are a bit more harsh on the treble. They've got the same amount of treble probably, but TRN is a bit more harsh, and a bit less accent. They've got a bit less accent on low frequencies. Speaking about other KZ models, recently I've got ZSN, for example. They are less resolving on the whole spectrum. They cost, of course, only $18 or $19. They are less resolving and less natural than these ones. There are a lot of models in this price range. For example, Mi Audio M6 Pro 2. They are a bit less resolving on the low frequencies, but they are more natural with more flat sound signature and probably more balanced. So a lot of other models that I can't recall right now, but interesting model for those who like V-shaped signature with a bit accented lows and bit warm representation. Thank you for attention.